Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our second continuation of our review. So this is licensure exam final coaching for review notes. So we are now on the review notes. Okay, so again, good evening. No, I hope you're doing okay. So medyo nagkakaroon ba ng anxiety? Medyo nagkakaroon ba ng kaba? Yan. So, good evening everyone. So, ano lang tayo dito, konting-konti lang tayo dito. No? And masaya ako na nandito kayo because you are reviewing and hopefully all of you, I wish talaga and I'm hoping that all of you will pass and become math teachers. No? I really like you to pass and hopefully dumami tayo mga math teachers. No? Um, Ayan. So, ang hindi mag-amen, hindi papasa. Joke lang. Right? So, kayo,
Amin.
lahat tayo papasa. Ayan. Kasi
Amin
inasike ko lang kayo,
siya.
no? Ayan. Lahat tayo papasa. Sabihin, lahat tayo papasa.
Amin siya.
Yan. Okay. So, let's be, ano lang, no? Let's be happy about what we're doing because I would like to congratulate you for going this far in your journey to become a math teacher. No? So, hopefully, na wag lang kayo mag-end no in what you're doing, no? Just continue what you're doing. If you love what you're doing, continue learning about it. Okay. So, what we're going to do for this next session is to review all of the different notes. As you could see, ang daming nating kailangang araling topics, no? Ang ganun sa exam, halo-halo siya. So, you will jump from one to the next. So, you will you have to recall all of these concepts. Pag nalimutan mo siya, wala na, hindi mo na masasagutan. So, what you will end up with is an educational guess. As much as possible, do not just randomly guess. Do an educational guess, meaning use computations, do different strategies for answering multiple choice questions. Okay? So going back to the question earlier, before I proceed, is question number 23. So kanina hindi gumagana ang aking presentation. So hopefully it does work now. Sine square x, y is sine square x plus cosine square x. What is y prime? Or what is the derivative, first derivative of sine square x plus cosine square x? So this would be the derivative of this is of course first you'd separate the two and then get the chain rule done. No, sine square x is 2 sine x, no, and then the derivative of sine x plus cosine square x is chain rule again 2 cosine x plus the derivative of cosine x. So that would give you 2 sine x, derivative of sine x is cosine x, and then 2 cosine x, derivative of cosine x is negative sine x. So multiplying this two, now multiplying this 2 cosine x times negative sine x would give you actually this one. So 2 sine x cosine x minus 2 sine x cosine x. Kaya 0 yung sagot. Yan. So this is the computation. Okay, the procedure. Okay, so now let's proceed to our review. No, review notes. Don't worry, I think you'll be given a copy of all of these things. And I would like to share it to you because I would like you to pass and I'd like you to review. So this is the mathematics specialization scope. Arithmetic and number theory and business math is 15%. Basic and advanced algebra, 25%. No, marami sa inyo magaling sa algebra. Nakita ko kanina in the pretest. And that is very much helpful. Pero yung iba, medyo careless. So careful about that. So we had the basic and advanced algebra questions, a little bit of that. But 25% of that would be on the test. Plane and solid geometry is 15%. Okay, so plane and solid geometry, including measurements, no measurements meaning the areas and volumes. That also includes all of the angles, the quadrilaterals, the triangles, all of the circles, and all of those geometry, no, including logics and proof. Kasama rin yan, 15%. Trigonometry, 10%. So just like yung kanina, yung yung ating mga trigonometric functions, trigonometric identities, the unit circle, all of those trigonometry concepts, 10%. Probability and stat, a little bit, a lot of probability questions earlier, and a little bit of statistics, 10% as well. Calculus, so this is the integral and differential calculus, 5%. No, konti lang siya, no, actually. So do not, yung kaninang mga examples of calculus, like there is the, nagkaroon pa ako ng mga examples on substitution, including problem solving that involves integrating and then getting the difference between the seconds. I don't think those will come out. It's just a practice for the pre-test, no? But the calculus that will come out most probably are basic. No, as much as possible, learn the basic differential and integral. Three or more steps are not going to be in the exams. No, not much in the exams. Very few lang yung mga involving more than 1 minute solving. Konti lang yan kasi it's multiple choice question and each question is 1 point. So they're not going to be giving you a 10-minute to 15-minute solution for just one MCQ. Okay, so little bit more, mas maganda kung marami kayong alam in all different topics rather than just focusing on calculus. Dami nyo palang inaral sa calculus, kinabisado nyo lahat ng functions and 5% lang pala lalabas sa exam. Now, very important to know basics. Okay, and then modern geometry, linear and abstract algebra, ito yung mga equations of the line natin. And then the modern geometry involves geometry plus the also, ay nawala siya. Okay, so geometry also involving the Cartesian plane and the parabola and the ellipses, all of those are also included. 5% lang yan. Okay, and then history of math, that's why we had history earlier. Problem solving, mathematical investigation, instrumentation, and assessment, 5% also. So, so you are to focus on the big numbers here. So arithmetic, number theory, and business math, 15, plain solid 15, and basic algebra, 25. This already 10, 20, 30, 40, 55 already, plus trigo and probability and stat. You should be focusing more on this and a little bit more on the other topics. Okay, so this is very important so that you know what you need to focus on. Do not just focus on one topic, focus on a lot of topics because they are all going to be part of the examination. This scope percentage I'm not sure if it is still being utilized in this coming. No, this was used probably around four years ago, but I don't think they will change it because there is no change for the past pandemic. No, this is still the same currently. No, hope and I don't think they will be changing it anytime soon. There are no parang wala pang sinasabi ang PRC kung any change in the exam. Okay. So let's proceed. Arithmetic and number theory and business math involves all of these concepts: integers, fractions, exponents, roots, decimals, real numbers, ratio, percent, simple and compound interest, and others. No, we will not be able to discuss everything, but let's recall all of those concepts so that you have all of those things in your mind and later on practice them. And if you forget something, go back to it. So we have the real number system. So we have here the natural numbers, whole numbers, then the integers, then the rational numbers, and the irrational numbers. So make sure that you know how they are defined and described. Some questions will be descriptive, meaning they are in a sentence form, and you will have to apply understanding and analysis about the concepts in real number system. Next are complex numbers involving the real numbers and the imaginary numbers. Now, make sure that you also, as mentioned earlier, the powers of I and the imaginary numbers are also included in some of the, might come out also in the exams. So we have the real numbers and imaginary numbers that comprise of the complex numbers. So in the real number system, we have the properties, the commutative property, associative, distributive, identity, and the inverse property. And then for the imaginary numbers, we have the powers of I. So we have discussed earlier what are the powers of I. I square root of -1. I square is -1. I cube is -I. I to the fourth is I squared times I squared. That is -1 times -1, which is a 1. Okay, and then so on and so forth. So it revolves in these powers here. No, itong 4 powers of I. So it revolves in this. So everything else will just repeat using square root of -1, a -1, a -I, and a 1. Okay, so make sure that you know how to get that value. For example, -I raised to 11 is -I. If you are asked what is I raised to 100, you should know what is the value of that. So that is the same as yung 100, you have to divide that by 4. So that you will get the you can simplify it. Now 100 divided by 4 would give you 100 divided by 4 is okay, so 2, 8, so 5. So sakto pala to. So sakto siya divisible by 4. So I is a 1. Because that is, yeah. So I is 4 and 25. Yeah. Next. Exponents and roots. So the laws of exponents, here we have the laws of different exponents. So a raised to m times a raised to n is a raised to m plus n. Okay, and so on and so forth. So we have here the different examples. Okay, so what is usually nakakalimutan or nalilito, which is the exponent and the denominator. A raised to m divided by a raised to n is a raised to m minus n. Okay? Or, and then kapag nilagay sa denominator, magiging negative. So, obviously, a raised to n minus m. For the square roots, we have here the different square roots. So, square root of x squared is equal to x. Square root of x raised to 2 is the same. And then square root of x times square root of y is square root of xy. And square root of x over y is the same as square root of x over square root of y. Okay, another tip is that you need to also be acquainted with the perfect squares, perfect cubes, and the perfect roots. So this is the chart of the perfect squares of 1 to 30. Take note of the perfect squares, okay, and also the perfect roots. Okay, so that when you encounter them, you know that they can be reduced to their perfect cubes or perfect squares, and the same thing, squaring it and that cubing it. Okay, so take note of the basics. So siguro mga up to 15 for the square and siguro mga 10 for cubes. Pwede or 12 for cubes. So that when you encounter them, you know that they are perfect squares or perfect cubes or perfect roots. Next, percentage, fraction, and decimal. As I've said, no, you can utilize your calculators anytime. So mastering yung calculators nyo, that is one of our best ally in our exam. Use it appropriately. If you still do not know how to convert fraction to decimal using your percentage, you have the, I don't know if you could see, hindi ko alam kung nandiyan yung sa calculator nyo, A over B. Yung may ganyan ata na function in your calculator, you could press that. You could try to explore. Pag pinindot mo yan, magiging decimal or magiging fraction yung value. So time niya 0.3, click niyo yung ganitong icon sa calculator para lumabas yung fraction and vice versa. And also you can have it in mixed number. Merong din na mixed number. I think it's A, B, C. if it's not A or B, depending on the calculator, for the mixed numbers. Next, solving percent problems. This one is for basic. No, the rate is equal to part divided by the base, or base times rate is equal to the part. So base is the whole amount, rate is the percentage within. Written as a decimal is part is the result of finding the percentage. Such as find 20% of 80, so simply multiply. 3% of what is 45? That is simply 45 divided by the percentage. And 60 is percent of 200. That is 60 divided by 200 to get the percentage. You could use this one as a base or this one. Next, we have the ratio and proportion, like the variations earlier. So this one, some of you forgot, no, the direct, the inverse, joint, and the combined. So this is the phrase is directly proportional to or varies directly with, that is y equals kx, varies directly with x. And then we have varies inversely with, that is y equals k over x, no, or divide it. Then varies jointly, you simply have to multiply both. Y equals the constant times x and z, which is the x and z are the two variables. And then combined varies directly with x and inversely with z, just like the example earlier, that is y equals the pretest, no, k, the constant times x over z. Next, what else? So we also have in number theory, the modulo. Yan. So recall also modulo. Malay natin, baka lumabas. So modular arithmetic, let n be a positive integer. We denote the set of 0 up to n minus 1 by the integers of n. We consider two integers x and y to be the same if x and y differ by a multiple of n. And we write this as x equals y modulo n, and say that x and y are congruent to modulo n. So here we may omit modulo n when it's clear from context. Every integer x is congruent to some y in the integer n. So for example, let's move to the example. 38 is equal to 3 modulo 5, because when we divide 38 by 5, the remainder would always be 3. So 7 times 5 is 35 plus 3. That's why we say 38 is the same as 3 modulo 5. Another, negative 3 is the same as 11 modulo 14, because negative 3 is the same as negative 1 times 14 plus 11. So the remainder is 11. So negative 1 times 14 is negative 14 plus 11 would give us a negative 3. Another example, so 6 plus 7 is equal to the same as 1 modulo 12. Okay, because 6 plus 7 is 13. So that is 12 with a remainder of 1. 3 times 20 is the same as 10 modulo 50. No, because 3 times 20 is 60. So that is 50 with a remainder of 10. While 12 minus 14 is negative 2. That is the same as 16 modulo 18. So that is having a negative 2 as a remainder. 16 as a remainder if you add a negative 2 in 18. So let's have some examples. Find the remainders when 70,004 and 778 is divided by 7. So since 70,000 is divisible by 7, no? Remember, we could do this partially. This is 70,000 and 4. No? So this one is divisible by 7. So 70,000 is the same as 0 modulo 7. If we add 4 on the left side of the equation, then add 4 on the right side of the equation, we'll end up with 7,004 is 4 modulo 7. And then the second one, 778, we can do partial, no? So that is 777 plus 1. So 777 is divisible by 7. Right? So we say 777 is 0 modulo 7. So we add 1 to both sides of the equation. So we can say 778 is the same as 1 modulo 7. So next, find the least positive value of x such that 67 plus x is 1 modulo 4 and 98 is x plus 4 modulo 5. So the same procedure as this one, 67 plus x is equal to 1 modulo 4. Then so we need to transpose negative 1 equals 4n for some integer n. So 66 plus x is equal to 4n, so combining negative 1 and 67. So 66 plus x equals 4n. So 66 plus x is a multiple of 4. So ano yung number ng x? No, what is that number ng x? Para ano yung susunod na number para maging multiple ng 4 ang 66. So remember 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. 69. So 70. So which one here is a multiple of 4? 66 plus what? What number? So to get a multiple of 4, the next number is 68. Diba? So 66 plus 2. So this is 1, 2. So 66 plus 2. So x must be 2 because 68 is the nearest multiple of 4 more than 66. So x here is 2. Because 68 is 1 modulo 4. Next, another. So 98 is x plus 4 modulo 5. So transpose, we have 98 minus x plus 4 equals 5n for some integer n. Okay, so simplifying this, so this would be 98 minus 4 will give you 94 minus x equals 5n. So this time it is a minus x. So what is that value of x na kapag sinubtract sa 94, magiging multiple ng 5? So that would be a 90, right? 90 minus 90 is multiple of 5. So x must be 4 to get a 90. So x must be 4. So 94 minus 4 is 90, which is the nearest multiple of 5 less than 94. So x here is 4. Okay, so these are just examples, no? So for modulo, I don't know what will come out in the exam, but remember the basics of modulo. So modulo is simply just division and looking for the remainder. That's what you need to remember. Next would be set theory symbol. So set theory. So in set theory, we have all of the different terms in the set. So you have here the symbol for a set intersection, set union, so operations on set. You also have the difference of a set and set complement, no? The complement of a set. And then we have proper subset and a subset and not a proper subset, superset, the element, no? An element or not an element of. We also have the universal set and the cardinality of this set. So make sure to recall all of the different sets that will also come out, possibly in part of the number theory and set theory. A little bit of that in sets. But this is also part of business mathematics, if I can recall. Next would be for business math, you have the interest formulas as we have previously discussed earlier. So example, so a 2-year loan of $500 is made with 4% simple interest. Find the interest earned. So here, simply just a simple example of I equal to principal, the interest equal to principal times rate times time. So multiplying everything, you'll get the interest. So using the same for getting the principal, the rate, and the time. This one will always somehow come out, but not this easy. No, they think they are also going to have a bit of a computation because this is direct multiplication. Next would be for compound. So a business takes out, no, this is also for simple interest, but this one is for future value. A business takes out a simple interest of 10,000 at the rate of 7.5%. What is the total amount? So this time it is going to just be adding, no, the principal times 1 plus rate, the rate times the time. So the simple interest for value formula for the future value. And then the compound, the compounded interest. An interest earns 3% compounded monthly. Find the value of an initial investment of $5,000 after 6 years. So this is our formula. You could use other formulas if you're not familiar with this one. But this is the basic. And you have the future value, the principal. So this is the principal investment of 5,000. And then the rate is 3%. No, this one is the R. Compounded monthly, so there are 12 compounding, that is our M. No, that's the M. So after 6 years, 6 is our time. So if you were able to determine all of the different given in the problem, then you will not have any problem with substituting that in your formula. That is principal multiplied by 1 plus rate over the number of compounding raised to the power of the number of compounding times the term or the time. Next. Okay, so we also have the sequences. Sequences might also come out, so let's just review it. We have the arithmetic progression. It is the sequence of numbers in which the difference of any two adjacent terms is constant. And in arithmetic progression, you have a common difference. For example, 3, 8, 13, 8, 20, 18, 23, 28, 33, and so on. So the sequence is composed of 10 terms. The first element is 3. The last element is 10, 48. The common difference is subtracting 8 minus 3, 13 minus 8. So you'll have here the common difference. Okay, so common difference is, again, the difference you got, just subtract the two terms together that makes up the arithmetic progression. Next is the geometric progression. When we say geometric progression, it has a common ratio denoted by the R. So unlike the arithmetic, which is there's a common difference subtracting the two, the geometric progression is a ratio, meaning it is division. So 1, 3, 9, 27 can be, the ratio is equal to 3. So 3 over 1, 9 is 3. 9 divide 3 is 3. 27 divide 3 is 3. Sorry, 9, sorry. So 27 divide 9 is 3. So you have a common ratio. So in arithmetic, subtract, no, in arithmetic sequence, difference, subtract. In geometric, you have to divide the sequences. Next is the harmonic. So this is the last one, the harmonic progression. Harmonic progression is a sequence of numbers in which the reciprocal. So arithmetic, subtract, geometric, divide. Harmonic is reciprocal. So example, 1/3, 1/6, and 1/9. If you take the reciprocal of each term from the given harmonic progression, the sequence becomes 3, 6, 9, which is an arithmetic progression with a common difference of 3. 6 minus 3, 9 minus 6 is 3. Okay. So another harmonic progression is 6, 3, and 2. The reciprocal of each term is 1/6, 1/3, and 1/2, which is the arithmetic progression with a common difference of 1/6. So again, when you say harmonic progression, when you get its reciprocal, it will have a common difference like an arithmetic progression. So yun yung difference nilang tatlo. So these are the formulas to get the arithmetic, geometric, and the harmonic sequence. Example, if you're looking for the sequence formula of nth term, then you have a sub n equal to a plus n minus 1 times the common difference. To find the sum of the terms, then you'll have this formula here. For geometric, the same. No? Very seldom we get to see, I get to see harmonic. Very few. But this is the formula for getting harmonic sequence. Okay, much yung sigurado kung baka lumabas is the arithmetic and geometric. Kasi this one is what is taught to students in second year, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, next. For the basic and advanced algebra, so most of you already know this, so I'm just going to show the different topics that are important for you to recall. We have the operations on polynomials. Baka yung iba sa inyo makalimutan ang pag-distribute, no, ng subtraction. One of the common errors in polynomials and in any operations. And also the long division of polynomials. You might forget how to do this, so recall a polynomial division na in the long division in polynomials. You might see a division and then you might forget how to do it. So make sure that when you do it, you are looking for getting a 0 for the first terms, no? So you multiplied a plus x to here to get to cancel out or get a 0 for x squared and get a 0 for here and so on. Okay. The important algebraic formulas for the to easily do computations like the square of two terms, so a plus b quantity squared, a minus b quantity squared, a square minus b square, a square plus b square, a cube plus b cube, the a cube minus b cube, and so on. So we have here different these different formulas for getting the distribution of the polynomials easier. And we have three terms, a plus b plus c quantity squared, a plus b minus c quantity squared, a minus b minus c quantity squared, a cube plus b cube plus c cube, and so on. And the quadratic formula, you might forget, these are also important. Now for ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, to get the value of x, that's negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so I'm going to skip some of these. So these ones, I know, just to show it to you. So these ones are examples of simplifying, making sure that you recall getting the common difference and canceling them out. See, these are some examples and these are the answers. Get the common difference first. And this one is making sure you know how to get the LCD. Getting the LCD first in order to simplify the operation on polynomials. And these are the answers. And this one is for complex fraction. So simplifying the numerator first and the denominator, and then you get the reciprocal of the denominator so that you can multiply the numerator and denominator together. And these are the answers. And for negative exponents, like the laws of exponents earlier, make sure that you are able to put that in the denominator and so on. So this would become 1 over x. Diba? And simplify. And multiplication of polynomials in one term. There's no plus, there's no minus. You have to put the negative exponents in the denominator and make sure that you distribute first the exponents before you put them in the denominator. and then canceling them out. And for the square root, you have to make sure that it is placed in an exponential form as a fraction. And these are the answers. Next, what else? So we also have the logarithmic functions. Earlier, we have some examples of that. So we have here some exponential functions, how we can convert them into a logarithmic function. No, make sure that you recall how to convert exponential to logarithmic and vice versa, how to convert it back. And this is how it's read. And the logarithmic properties are here. So we have, earlier we have this as an example. No? Log base A x and log base A y is a multiplication. If it is a subtraction, then you divide. If it is, and then if you have a constant, then that would become an exponent. If it is a division, no, so log base A of b, and also this one 1 over log b of a is log base A of b. Okay, so an example, so log base 2x equal to 4. Then convert it into exponential form. We can have it as 2 raised to 4 equals x. Simplifying that will give us 16. Here are other examples for you to try out. No? So you have log x equals 2. So maybe I'll give you 1 minute, no, to try and use your mental thinking to answer this. And I'll show you the answers of all 4 later. I'll give you 1 minute. Your time starts now. While I sip my coffee. The mental math. You can use your mental math to try and solve these questions here. Okay, so time's up. So the correct answers are, for letter A, it's 100. So that is 10 square. No, this is base 10. Remember, if it's not written, it's base 10. So that's 10 square is 100. This one is x raised to 10. So if it is x raised to 10, then to get this is getting the 10th root. So 10th root of 2. This one is 10 squared. And then you have an x squared. So if you get the square root of both sides, you will end up getting a positive and a negative 10. Remember, if you get the square root, you always have a positive and a negative value. And then this one is 9 raised to 9 equal to x raised to 9. So getting the 9th root would give you a 9. Next would be the equations of a line. So the equations of a line, we have the slope formula. So y squared minus y sub 1 is equal all over x squared minus x sub 1. X sub 2 minus x sub 1. So general form ax plus by equals c. Slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Point slope form, y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. Midpoint formula, very important also, this comes out. X sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2 y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2, and the distance formula. So distance formula, x sub 2 minus x sub 1 quantity squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 quantity squared, and then get the square root to get the distance. The distance between 2 points is using this formula. Let's have a bit of an example. Write the equation of the line with slope 2 and that has a y-intercept of 5. Okay, so we can use the slope-intercept formula because you have the slope here and the intercept of 5. So the slope-intercept y equals mx plus b. And so you just have to simply substitute in the given slope, to 2, and the intercept to b. So y equals 2x plus 5. Another is write the equation of a line with slope 3 and passes through the point -1 and 6. Okay, so next, if we utilize the slope-intercept formula, and so utilizing the slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b. No, so we need to get the substitute m2 and x1, x and y as the given to the given for the formula here, so that we can get the intercept. So the b is 8, so we can now use it to, you can use the b here to substitute to the equation. So y equals slope 3x plus 8. And another example, so we have this one earlier as part of the pretest. We have the 2 points. No, for the 2 points, we need to get the slope. So the slope is y sub 2 minus y sub 1, x sub 2 minus x sub 1. After getting the slope, then we need to get the intercept. After getting the intercept, then we could already use y equals mx plus b, substituting the slope -2 to m and -1 to b. Next is the equation of a circle. So ito, lumabas din to kanina. So circle whose center is at the origin. Yan, ganito itsura niya. 0, 0 would be h and k. Kaya nawala yung h and k dito. X squared plus y squared with the radius of equal to radius square, because the center is 0, 0. But if it is not, then you have x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared. So what is commonly mistaken is plus h and plus k. Dapat minus yan, ha? So minus h and minus k. So something like this. The center is at 2, -5 with a radius of 3. Okay, so earlier, yeah, that's correct. So here we have now another example. Another would be the conic sections. So this would be the circle. That's what's discussed earlier. So the formula for the standard form for a parabola, a times x minus h quantity squared plus k. And then we have the ellipse and the hyperbola. So recall all of this, part of the modern modern geometry. Well, 5% lang, so very few. So don't dwell on it too much. Next would be the functions and relations. So recall that the functions, kapag like the earlier example, no, function, each input has only one output. So that would be the function. For the relation, at least one input has more than one output. So like this one. And we also have the asymptotes. So like the vertical asymptote and the horizontal asymptote. So here are some of the graph for which you could determine if there is a vertical or a horizontal asymptote. Next, for geometry, we start with the basics, of course, would be the lines, points, and planes. And we have the different types of angles: straight, reflex, full angle, 360, acute, obtuse, and right. And then the parallel lines cut by transversal. You have the corresponding, the vertical, alternate interior, and alternate exterior angles. And then the classification of triangles. By side, we have equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. And then by angle, we have acute triangle, right triangle, and obtuse triangle. Next would be the Pythagorean theorem. The a square plus b square equals c square. No, very useful for a lot of things. And then the Pythagorean triples, like I said, no, memorize nyo yung ibang sample Pythagorean triples so that pag nakita nyo, hindi ko na kailangan compute, kabisado ko yan. Okay, so something like this. Memorize as many as this, no, Pythagorean triples, or familiarize yourself with it. So, and then the special right triangles, 45, 45, 90. So that is a x for if your side is x, so the hypotenuse would be multiplied by square root of 2. For 30, 60, 90, the smaller side would be your x. To get the longer leg, that's multiplied by square root of 3. To get the hypotenuse, multiply by 2. Then we also have similar triangles. This also comes out, no? Yung mga similar triangles natin, the ratios of the sides of corresponding sides in the same ratio. So that forms, they're given two sides of a triangle and then another side of a similar triangle. Find the other side. So usually it comes out. And the test for similar triangles, we have the angle, side, 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 SSS, SAS, ASA, would also be important for similarity, proving similarities. Next, for quadrilaterals. So after the triangles, we have quadrilaterals. The properties would be what comes out in the exam is they ask about the property whether it is true or not. So for example, which of the following statements is true? And then they are statements that is about the properties of the quadrilateral. So you have to make sure that you are aware of the different properties of the rectangle, the square, the parallelogram, the rhombus, and a trapezium. Okay, don't forget the area and perimeter. And that is our next one. The area and the areas and perimeters of the plane figures. So from triangle, square, rectangle, trapezoid, ellipse, sector, circle, parallelogram. And also for the volume and the surface area and the total surface area for the volume, such as the cube, rectangular prism, a prism, cylinder, sphere, cone, and the pyramid. So these are taught starting grade 6, no? So you should memorize this if you can, because you'll be teaching this in every year level in high school. The measurement of area of a sector, we have also discussed this. 2 pi radians is 360. Converting to degrees and radians are also important. The area of a sector is 1/2 r square or radius square times theta. And the second tangent theorem, we've also had examples of this in the pretest earlier, wherein we had 2 seconds, 2 seconds in the 1 second and 1 tangent, 2 tangents, as long as if it is outside, larger minus smaller divided by 2. If it is inside, you add the 2 arcs together divided by 2. Next, in trigonometry. So now let's move to trigonometry. What are the different topics that you need to recall? So in trigonometric values for some common angles, these are the basics for 0, 30, 45, 60, 90, 180, and 360. For radians, sine data, cosine, tangent, cotangent secant, and cosecant data, it's good that you can somehow have a way to have this as to also have this as part of your the memory. No? This will help you, especially if you are trying to convert from degrees to radians and also the unit circle. If you could use the unit circle better also, as long as you have a way that you could find the different data in all of these basic degrees. So 30, 45, 60, and 90. Because not all of them you cannot use your calculator to find all of them. There are only a few. Next would be the trigonometric identities. We have the reciprocal identities, no, and the Pythagorean identities, and then the sum and difference identities, double angle identities, and half angle identities. I think most of what you could use here is reciprocal, Pythagorean, and double angle. Half angle, it will not come out as much. Sum and difference, not sure, but not probably. So usually these three will come out. Also the SOHCAHTOA will come out most likely in the exam. Okay, so let's have an example. Can you answer this one? If sine data is 3 over 5 and data is acute, what is the value of secant data? A, B, C, or D? Okay, to answer this, we use the identity. Sine squared data plus cosine squared data equals 1. Substituting the value of sine data equal 3 over 5. That's 3 over 5 square plus cosine squared data equal to 1. And then transpose to simplify to combine like terms, cosine squared data equals 1 minus 9 over 25. That is 16 over 25. Getting the square root, you'll get cosine data equals 4 over 5. So since we are looking for the secant, we just have to get the reciprocal of 4 over 5 to get secant data equals 5 over 4. Yeah. So these are some examples. No, take note of how you could answer this by using your knowledge of the trigonometric identities. Next would be the law of sines and the law of cosines. So we have the laws of sines, sine A over the side A, sine B over B, and sine C over C, and vice versa, no, the numerator and denominator, as long as they're corresponding. The law of cosine, A square equal B square plus C square minus 2BC cosine A, and so on. So these are the laws of sine and the laws of cosine plus the SOHCAHTOA. Like the pre-test example earlier, they can come out of the test. Next. We also have do not forget this one, the area of a triangle given the three sides of a triangle. So the area is equal to of a triangle is 1/2 AB sine C, or 1/2 BC sine A, or 1/2 AC sine B, or that is the same as the square root of S times S minus A times S minus B times S minus C, given A plus B, S is A plus B plus C over 2. Okay, so you call that as the Heron's formula. So like for example, this one, use the Heron's formula to find the area of the triangle given the lengths 7, 8, and 9. Give your answer in insert form or in square root form. Okay, so from this one, you could simply just get first the S. No, the S is 7 plus 8 plus 9 divided by 2. Okay, so that would give you 24 divided 2 is 12. So that is 12 times the given values of 12 minus 7, 12 minus 8 times 12 minus 9. That is 12 times 5 times 4 and times 3. So the answer is 12 square root of 5. Again, this is the Heron's formula. So if you do not know the Heron's formula, you will not be able to answer questions like these. Next would be matrices and determinants. So matrices and determinants. Earlier, we had an example of a multiplication of matrices. And usually that's the basic question that comes out in the let. No? So these are some useful properties of matrices and determinants. So get to recall all of these. Some questions might be asking for properties. No? So like some example earlier in like what I said, no, which of the following are true or which of the following are false, and it talks about the properties of determinants and matrices. Okay, so take a recall, review the different terms and concepts in matrices and determinants. Although there are very few of them that will come out in the let, but they can come out in the let. One or two possible questions in the let. So in addition and subtraction of matrices can be added and subtracted if and only if they possess the same dimensions. Remember, it's the same dimension. No? Like here, 3 by 3 plus 3 by 3. Hindi pwedeng 3 by 3 and then 3 by 2. So A plus J, D plus M, G plus P, and so on and so forth. So that's the only thing that you can add or subtract. It has to have the same dimension. For the multiplication, matrix multiplication, it has to have the same inner. No, for example, this one, 2 by 4 and 4 by 3. So they have the same innermost the same innermost column and row. No, so the result would be 2 by 3. No, the outermost will be the result. Okay, so this is the example of how you compute for matrix multiplication like what we did earlier. So 1 times 3 plus 2 times 0 plus negative 1 times negative 2 for the first row, first column, and so on. So this is how you multiply. So recall this. This is the basic of what you can see in the licensure exam. Matrix multiplication, matrix addition, and subtraction, and also scalar. Pag scalar, when you say scalar, merong number dito sa harap. So for example, this is a 3. So if there's a 3 constant in front, scalar, you can just simply multiply it to all of the numbers in the matrix. And scalar. And then the determinants. Oh, this will also possibly come out, the determinant. So these are the rules of determinant or the properties of a determinant. No? So the properties of a determinant are here. So recall some of them, constant and so on and so forth. So how do you get a determinant? So the determinant is multiplying A times D minus B times C. So like for example here, get the determinant of this matrix. So you have 8 times 2 minus 4 times 3. So that is 16 minus 12. So the determinant is 4. Okay, so that's the determinant. So these are some of the rules of determinant, saying like if given two matrix, no, are their determinants the same? Given two matrix, given these rules, if there is a scalar and so on. So like the inverse, like the identity, and other things, would the determinant change? So those are the properties and rules about determinants. So there can be, again, questions that talks about whether you know about the properties of determinants. Next would be probability and statistics. Events and probability, like many of the examples earlier. So we have the probability mutually exclusive, the null events equally like outcomes, no? And also the permutations and combinations, just like the examples earlier. For statistics, you have the different data. So qualitative and quantitative data. For quali, you have the nominal data, you have the ordinal data, you have quantitative, you have the interval, and the ratio data. And then the definition of skewness. Skewness is, as mentioned, is understanding the measures of mean, median, and mode. Well, the symmetrical, the positively skewed, and the negatively skewed. So in negatively skewed, mode exceeds mean and median. In the positively skewed, the mean exceeds the mode and the median. And we have also the descriptive statistics. For ungrouped data, we have the mean, median, mode, and range.
Yes.
So I hope that you, I'm not going to discuss this anymore. It's very basic for elementary. Just recall the basic descriptive statistics. And then we also have the group data. So mean, median, mode for the group data. And also for, when you say group data, now you have to group them together into tables. But very seldom that you will see examples of this. But there are very few exams in the LET that will ask about group data. So no need to worry about the formula on how to get this. But I'm just going to show it to you for the statistics part. What will come out in the statistics would be concepts in probably what are population, the sample, quali and quantitative data, mean, median, mode that are ungrouped. For calculus, no, the basics of the differentiation rules. For the general rules for constant, sum, difference, chain rule, the power rule, quotient rule, the trigonometric functions, exponential. Okay, so these ones are the most important ones, are all on the left side. And so you have to recall and memorize this part. This one's not so much. No, this one's is where the 5% will come in. Also including the limits, no, the properties of limits, like the example earlier. The functions of limits will also come out in the part of the calculus 5%. With the integral, so the integration, the basic integrations of the basic integrals functions should also be reviewed. Now, this will also come out only 5%, but you have to review how to get the basic for constant, okay, and then the power, the trigonometric functions, and sum and the differences, multiplication and division. And the famous mathematicians. So we have Euclid. So let's review some of the famous mathematicians that will come out of the history of math. Part of the 5%, you might see them in your exam. I recall some of my students who took up the math let, no? Some of them were asking about sino yung mga taong lumabas sa let, hindi daw nila kinala. Okay, so we have Euclid. Euclid is the father of geometry. Pythagoras, of course, the famous Pythagorean theorem. Archimedes is it's a talent. He is also a mathematician. He made various contributions best known for antiquity and the invention of compound pulleys and screw. and screw pumps. And Thales of Miletus, he was the first individual to mathematically discover mathematical discovery was attributed. He's best known for calculating the heights of pyramids and the distance of the ships from the shore using geometry. Aristotle had a diverse knowledge over various areas, including mathematics, geology, physics, biology, medicine, and psychology, a pupil of Plato. Okay, so he is tutored by Alexander the Great. He established the production of hundreds of books. Aristotle, very famous, of course, a philosopher, but few contributions in mathematics also. Diophantus, he was a Hellenistic Greek mathematician and was best known for as the father of algebra, but there are other actually the father of algebra is questionable. Who is the father of algebra? No, depending on the book that you read, they will always say that they claim that the father of algebra is Algebra or Diophantus. But I don't think it will be asked in the let because it is a controversial topic. Who really is the father of algebra? Okay, but he also developed important contributions like polynomial equations, and his book on Arithmetica. That's why he's called the father of algebra. Eratosthenes, he was the best person as the person who calculated the circumference of the Earth. Also, the first one to calculate the tilt of the Earth's axis. Both of the calculations were remarkably accurate. Therefore, he became world famous for his incredibly accurate calculations. Again, that's Eratosthenes. Hipparchus, the intelligent and perspicacious Hipparchus, ancient Greek mythologist, made many mathematical contributions throughout his lifetime. He is the founder of trigonometry and the first to develop a reliable method to predict solar eclipse, and he possessed the first mathematical trigonometric table. Hipparchus. We have Hero of Alexandria. He described a method for iteratively computing the square root of a number. This method is known as Hero's formula, and in today's world, thereby gaining the famously known as the Hero of Alexandria. Ptolemy was famous mathematician, astronomer, geographer, astrologer, and a poet. Okay, so the author and writer mathematician took advantage of his knowledge over the two fields to write several scientific researches. The Great Treatise is one of his renowned work, now known as Almagest. Xenocrates of Chalcedon was a Greek philosopher, mathematician, and the leader of the Platonic Academy. Xenocrates is known to have written books on numbers, theories on numbers, and geometry. He had the unique talent of calculating the syllables out of an alphabet, and one attempted to find the total number of syllables that could be made from the letters of the alphabet. Next is Anaxagoras. He gave a number of novel scientific accounts of natural phenomena. Due to his exceptional knowledge of math and astronomy, he produced correct explanation of eclipses and description of sun as a fiery mass larger than Peloponnese. Peloponnese, yeah. He also explained meteors and rainbows. Hypatia of Alexandria was the daughter of a mathematician, and took her father as an inspiration to become a mathematician herself. Not only was she a mathematician, but a philosopher as well. She taught as the head of a school. Her subject was the knowledge of Plato and Aristotle. Hypatia was the first woman to take a bold step to pursue her dreams and became an inspiration to many young women. a mathematician woman, is the very first woman to step up as a mathematician. We also have Antiphon, was the first to give an upper and lower bound for the values of pi by inscribing and then circumscribing a polygon around the circle, and finally proceeding to calculate the polygon's areas. Okay, next, Diocles. He was a mathematician, emperor, and geometer. Was popularly known for his work, The Subclassification of Geometry. Okay, his name is associated with geometric curve called Cissioid of Diocles. And then Blaise Pascal was the 17th century notable French mathematician, inventor, and philosopher. We discussed him earlier. Carl Friedrich Gauss, prominent figure. He's known for his contributions on statistics, algebra, differential geometry, mechanics, astrology, number theory, and other fields. René Descartes, who is the father of modern philosophy, he developed, of course, the Cartesian plane. He is also known as the father of analytic geometry. Pierre de Fermat. Pierre de Fermat was a mathematician, developed the infinitesimal calculus. For analytic geometry also, optics and probability. So he developed, also considered the Fermat's last theorem. He was known for Fermat's last theorem. John Napier. John Napier was the one who developed the logarithms. Ayan. So the logarithmic tables was John Napier's work. And Gottfried Leibniz. Gottfried Leibniz was a 17th century German mathematician. He was a polymath who had expertise in multifarious areas of math. He was credited for the differential and integral calculus. And the laws of continuity, laws of homogeneity, laws of continuity, and other examples, other parts of mathematics as well. Like the invention, his services to mathematics extend to the invention of a working mechanical calculator based on Blaise Pascal's design. And George Boole, who is famous for his work called the Boolean algebra. So yung Boolean algebra natin is from the name Boole, no? George Boole, belonged to Lincoln, England. So he was born there on November 2. His father was a cobbler. He worked as a curator in the library of Lincoln Mechanics Institution. Okay, so that is all of the different topics that we are able to go through with from the different scope of the licensure examination in mathematics. So again, focus on the bigger parts of the scope. Do not dwell too much on the difficult parts. What is important is that you touch all of the topics that will be covered in the licensure exam. Now I'm going to give you some general MCQ test taking tips in mathematics specialization. Okay, so first of all, preparation is crucial. No, you have to prepare your materials, the resources, the pencils, sharpener, eraser, ruler, calculator, very important. As early as now, masterin nyo na yung calculator ninyo. If you still do not know some of the functions, search Google how to, for example, yung katulad sabi ko kanina, from how to use yung decimal to fraction. No, fraction to decimal, you have that in your calculator. How to put in exponents, how to put in radicals properly, in fractional form, and others. You have to master your calculator. And a watch. Always wear a watch because you will need the watch in order to make efficient time in in calculating how much time that you will need to answer different problems, because there are different difficulties in every problem. No, so when you get your exam, what you need to do first is preview the test quickly. You have to preview it, all of it, no, scan through it. You give yourself a little bit of time to scan through all of the items. From there, manage your time, count how many items are there. No, right now, I'm not sure of how many items. I think it's probably around 80. No, 80 to 100. I'm not sure if they have changed it already. Manage the time and number of items effectively by looking at how many items and how many time you have. No, it's not going to be the fastest wins. No, but the idea is how the winner will be if you can manage your time effectively, answering everything given the amount of time and the amount of items that are given to you. So meaning if your exam is from 1 o'clock up to 5 o'clock or 5:30 p.m., no, so that is 4.5 hours. How many items can you distribute? No, how many items can you give to each item? How many easy items should be answered first? When's the time that you should answer difficult or very tedious solutions for each of the questions? No, there are certain questions there that you need to have a lot of computations, and there are also questions that you are sure, and there are also questions that you are not sure. So what I would suggest is, of course, to secure all of the easy items first. When I say secure, ibig sabihin ng secure, you are sure that your answer is correct. Meaning, how do you make sure that your answer is correct? You double check. No, you double check. You make sure that you check it. After getting the correct answer, you substitute it, or you check whether it actually is equal, if it makes sense to you. And that means you are secured with that item. And then count on the side how many secured items do you have, so that you know your current situation. Naku, parang for example, let's say out of 80, you secured around 40 items already. You secure that all of the 40 items are correct. That's very important, because if you don't, if you after the test, if you feel na you're not sure if your answers are correct, that would be problematic, no? So secure all easy items first. So if when you answer, and if it's taking you more than 1 minute, no, or you're not sure how to solve it, or you know how to solve it but it will take you too long, just skip it. No? So secure, when I say secure, you have the solution and you check the solution if it is correct. Then you move on to the next one. Okay, so skip the parts that are not that you think that you're going to guess. No, skip those parts. Read the entire question carefully, including the choices, and focus on what the question is asking. Like the example earlier in the pretest, there are questions in the pretest that you were able to answer, but found out later that that is not what is being asked. No, you have to still substitute it to get to the answer correct. So ang nakuha mo pala is yung age ni Alice, ang tinatanong age ni Clarice. So you'll have to make sure that you double check whether your answer is actually the correct answer to answer the question. No, so that is being careful. Okay, being careful, especially yung mga signs natin. If it is negative, if it is positive, una sa second quadrant pala, dapat pala siya ay negative. Or dapat pala yung kukunin kong value is not the acute angle, kasi yung image pala ng triangle is an obtuse angle, so I have to choose the bigger angle. Or you should not be including the negative value because it is supposed to be an area, and you should not have a negative area. You should always get a positive area. So yung mga ganyang simple corrections that are important for getting the correct answer. Next, for some strategies, consider answering, since these are all MCQs, no? All of them are multiple choice questions. Consider the choices in answering. The choices are important. When creating multiple choice questions, the answers are there. One of the things that would be helpful is that you could use the elimination method, no? Since there are items na sobrang layo ng sagot, so eliminate mo na agad, so you'll have better chances of getting the correct ones, no? Second is to substitute. Since, for example, like you have, what's the value of x? Instead of solving it without looking at the choice, kasi yung iba, pag nakita, find x, so 2x plus 3 equals 10x minus 5, ginagawa na sinusolve nila agad isa-isa hanggang to find the solution and find the correct answer before looking at the choices. Remember, the choices are there. So when you read everything, including the choices, and then you could actually use the choices to substitute it to the given and use that as your, to solve the problem. No, you could also do that. So you can use the options as your anchor to answer the question. Okay, do not do it one at a time kasi we're used to doing it one at a time, like what we're doing in our classroom. Na given lang ang tanong, we have to supply the answer. In MCQ, answers are there. So you can always use the answer to find the sequence, to find the pattern, to find the value of x, to determine the age or in an age problem, no, to determine the price given the problem. Okay, so you could use that to your advantage. Okay, use it as especially kung nahihirapan kayo, hindi nyo alam talaga sagutin, you can use the choices to find to answer the question. And then always check your answer, like what I said, in connection to securing your answers. No, wag niyo palaging isipin, madali lang to, skip ko na kasi madali lang siya. No, the one of the things that could you reduce your answers is yun lang nga yung madali, nagkamali ka pa. So always check your answer, no? So that's very important. There is most of the time a correct option. Okay, so this one, kasi in the LET, you have 4 choices like all of the pretest questions earlier. Hindi na tayo umabot sa poses, 9 o'clock na. So 4 options yan. The instruction is, choose among the 4 options. If the answer is not there, choose shade option E. Di ko alam kung ba't nila ginawa yun. Parang panggulo. So that's the instruction. If you're solving it and then you found out na wala sa choices mo yung naging sagot mo, what should you do? Dalawa ang choice mo. First, you shade the answer that is closest. For example, your answer is 96 and then merong isang choice doon, 100. So should you choose yung 100 or should you choose to shade letter E? Kasi 96 yung sagot mo, shade mo, yung closest ba o yung letter E? Based on my experience, all of the question, hello?
Yung closest, sir.
The closest, yes. That's correct, no? You shade the closest and double check whether the closest can actually answer the question. Kasi very seldom, I did not, most of the time when I took the test, no? Yung prof ko nag-exam din. So tinanong ko siya, ako marami akong sagot na E. Sinade ko na E. Tinanong ko yung prof ko na kasabayan ko, sir, may mga sagot bang E? Wala naman. So, and tinanong ko din yun in yung mga students ko before now, no? And most of them, I tell them that most of the questions are actually having correct answers. Either typographical error yan or mali yung computation mo. So double check. Now, most of the time, the E is just a buffer. For those students na makulit, sinasabi wala doon yung tamang sagot. Pero most of the time, meron talagang sagot na tama yan. Okay, so look for that correct option. Kung wala talaga, yung feeling mo, sure na sure ka na sagot mo, then that's the time that you shade E. But most of the time, may sagot yan. I also have a chance to create questions for PRC and hindi kami binibigyan ng ganong choice na gumawa kayo ng tanong at yung sagot wala doon, E ang shade ng bata. There's no such thing. Whenever we create questions for PRC, like what I did before, I make sure that all questions have the correct answer. Because kasi pinapagawa rin yung solution sa amin. Binibigay din sa PRC. Okay, so avoid shading letter E, ha? Wag yan. And when you submit your final answer, your paper, double check everything na lahat merong responses. Kasi tinuruan ko kayo na mag-skip sa mga may hirap. Baka pagdating sa dulo, hindi nyo makita, yung in-skip nyo, hindi nyo pa rin nalagyan ng sagot. Okay, so that is 1 point, the automatic walang score. And that could also have a problem kapag nilagay yan sa machine. Kasi ang gagamitin nyo ay Scantron and it will be scanned by a machine. Kapag meron mga walang sagot, baka yung machine hindi na mabasa yung the rest of the answers. So make sure that all of the answers have responses. And be careful din kapag nag-shade, if you committed a mistake and you did not erase it properly, it might it might cause a problem and it will not be seen by the machine or screened by the machine properly. Kunyari, nabasa niya na dalawang medyo may black, automatic, wala nang ano yun. Hindi na i-grade agad yung item na yun because your answers will be going through a machine. Okay? So that is it for all of the review notes for mathematics specialization. I hope you all had a very good time in recalling all of the different concepts. I know it's a very it's long, no, but it is a journey. No, it's a journey. Hopefully, all of you get to practice more. No, ayun ang hirap sa math, no? Ang math dapat pina-practice. Hindi pwedeng nakikinig lang at nanonood. Kailangan sinosolve talaga. So, one of the best things to do is to really get as many questions, answer as many questions as you can, as diverse as you can. Hindi yung paulit-ulit lang na tanong. Okay, so thank you for listening, everyone. It's 9 p.m.